I'm Spencer Burke, the VP of Growth at Braze. If you don't know us, well, first of all, we have a bunch of people here, so stop by our booth, learn a little bit more about what we do. But quickly, we're a customer engagement platform. We work with amazing brands all over the world. Many of them have been presenting here today, and you'll hear from Delivery Hero and Xing, but also Happen, Glovo, Cirque, and if you're a fan of scooters, Bird and Lime are also our customers. If you're not a fan of them, I can't really help you. But we're really excited to be here and talk a little bit about a topic that has been really close to home for me. How do you build and organize a team that's focused on growth? And we have a really amazing panel and conversation here, so I'll let you both introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Carolyn. I work at Delivery Hero leading the CRM tech team. We're basically responsible for the entire technical infrastructure, provider, and tool setup. And basically work with a bunch of different teams all together, whether it's marketing, tech, or data, but we'll dive into that later.
Hi there, I'm Cornelia, Senior Vice President, Memberships and Marketing at Xing. You might know it as a German LinkedIn. And for those of you who haven't known it, now you know it. I'm responsible for all the memberships and subscription products for Xing, as well as marketing, analytics, and user care. So I'm heading up an organization of roughly 150 people.
So I want to start with something fun. There's a lot of buzzwords that get thrown around at conferences. What's a buzzword that you're sick and tired of hearing? And hopefully we won't talk about it, or you won't hear it later today from another presenter.
Let me go first, big data.
Okay, good.
Optimization.
Omnichannel's mine. So we'll try to steer clear of all three of those. And to start, I think this might also be a buzzword, which is growth. And it's part of why we're all here. We're at the Mobile Growth Summit. For both of you, growth isn't part of your title, but it's a big part of what your teams do. So, Carol, starting with you, I want to get a sense of what does growth mean to you, and how does that apply to what you do at Delivery Hero?
Yeah, so growth to me overall is basically embracing and welcoming the challenges that are being thrown at you as a business overall, so to say, and basically thinking and acting multidimensionally. And it's no matter the setbacks that you are confronted with, basically remaining in the driver's seat through focus. And growth to me especially means a lot of coordinated collaboration. So it's advanced teamwork. It's working with so many different teams all together, breaking down the silos and essentially having the end user in mind at all times.
And Cornelia, what about for you?
Well, I'm not going to give you a definition of growth, but rather a framing on what I believe is important about growth. I think short-term growth is the easy bit. So really implementing measures and growing for a couple of months, couple of years. But I think the really tough bit is continuous and sustainable growth over many, many years. I'm working for a publicly listed company, and we're kind of doomed to grow every quarter by quarter. So as I said, it would be easy. So you could implement short-term measures to boost your growth for the one quarter for the financial markets. But what you really need is user centricity and user-centric growth to grow sustainably over many, many years.
I'm curious for everyone in the audience here, just by a show of hands, how many of you would say, like, you have something to do with growth or describe your job as a growth role? Okay, almost everyone. It seems it's I guess, apropos of the conference here. There's a couple things that you had in common. I think one was around organizational alignment, and then just building a team that can support objectives, whether that's being doomed to grow and continuous growth, or maybe some other more focused objectives. One of the questions that I hear a lot from our customers, especially larger organizations that maybe have been organized in traditional silos, is like they like the sound of they want to do real-time engagement, one-to-one personalization, they want to use context in their marketing, but they don't know how to organize to do it. So wanted to get an understanding of how both of you have organized your teams, especially because both of you work for quite large companies and handle a lot of complexity. So why don't we start with Delivery Hero, and we have a nice graphic to help out for this.
Yeah, so I think it's also worth emphasizing it's very different to how Xing works or is set up. So coming back to the CRM tech team, we basically function as a support pillar for many different other teams. It's a back and forth, a give and take between operational CRM teams that sit centrally at the headquarters in Berlin, but also get the impact and the input from the local entities where we work across 45 different countries. We work very closely together with marketing tech teams, the performance marketing team, BI, data analytics, product departments. We all do that in order. So whether I'm going to give a few example, perhaps with marketing tech and BI, we need to make sure what data is accessible and how are we going to utilize it in CRM. How do we work closely together with performance marketing? For example, we don't want to approach the user in various different channels in the first 3 days. We want to make sure we utilize the right tools and having the budget in mind as well in order to be smart in how we do this and in order to have the sustainable growth in mind. So yeah, this is essentially how this is illustrated. We're having the client in mind at all times and yeah, just trying to achieve long-term successes.
You mentioned the BI team. Is that part of the CRM tech? So do you have roles like data analysts that are embedded in your team, or do those sit in region, in a central team in Berlin? How does that work?
Yeah, we have main central teams in Berlin. So it's analytics teams, is marketing tech team, CRM team as such, and the performance marketing team. We have various local teams as well, but the really main hubs sit at the headquarters. And we function as a knowledge hub, so to say. So everything gets filtered and applied then centrally and fed back through the entities via shared learnings, etc.
Got it. So there's a center of excellence here in Berlin, and a lot of like the specialized skills for CRM tech, BI, engineering are here, and then you help enable the regional teams to manage their own marketing campaigns and things like that.
Exactly.
And a fun graphic.
A very fun graphic, yeah. So this is the big box of what CRM Tech is confronted with every day. So in my team, we do a lot of troubleshooting, SDK. We work very closely with Braze, obviously, but also take then that knowledge and go into the other teams. We'll speak later more about what kind of strategies we apply in order to make everyone aware and be as transparent as possible in order to ensure sustainable and long-term growth.
I think that sets us up to talk a little bit about Xing, and you already gave away that there's going to be some differences. Yeah. I think one of the things that's I think worth noting is you're dealing with brands all over the world, and so there's a lot of complexity with languages, working in different teams, different environments, and as you know, for Cornelia and the Xing team, very focused on Germany and the German-speaking world. So I'd be curious to get an understanding of how your two different organizations meet those different challenges.
All right, the slide looks quite full. So what I want to show you on this slide is there's a differentiation between organization and what we do, how we work operationally day to day. So we work in a matrix organization, and yes, that's complex, but it ensures that all the functions get functional leadership and functional development. But in our day-to-day work, we have fully cross-functional teams for our products. And we're talking about something like 30 to 40 teams that are working on our B2C product. And what you see in there is, sure, there are the elements of a traditional production team. So you have product owner, you have the developers, you have the tech functions and UX. And what is probably unique, and this is one of the things that I've been driving the last couple of years, is also integrating functions like marketing, like analytics, into those teams to really have fully cross-functional teams. Because as I said before, for me to really drive sustainable growth, you need to focus on the customer. And marketing in the past at Xing just like analytics, was rather a service function. Now they are fully embedded in teams, and that really makes a difference because marketing obviously owns one of the most important customer touch points. So they have a lot of insights into the customer and what works. And I mean, the analysts, they really know all our user data. And if they are not fully embedded in the teams, there's a lot of ideas that get lost in the process. So this is regarding the setup, but what's also important is ways of working. Because one of the things is working in the digital world, our markets move quite fast. And if I take a look at my organization, all the changes that are happening in the market, I could reorganize my teams every couple of months. And I mean, there's a couple of my team members in the audience, and they will probably nod and still think we're doing too many reorganizations. But what is important is really to have a flexible organizational setup. So to be able to work in projects and task forces as the need arises and not reorganize every couple of months because that just disrupts the organization. So this is what we are trying to do.
Do you have an example of what a product cluster is at Xing?
Something like the start page, something like the profile, something like the premium membership.
So it can get pretty specific to just a component of the product.
Exactly, yeah. And that's rather teams and not clusters. So clusters are organized around, so we have for all our memberships, we have a cluster, or we have a cluster for our jobs value proposition.
If you were working on something like customer retention, where would that end up sitting? Because I guess in a traditional team, that's something that the marketing or the CRM team would handle. Do you think about something like retention as a product? Is it a component of a product? How would that work?
Well, the whole topic of retention is spread across several teams. So we do have teams, it's just several teams. Some of my teams on the membership side of things, there we actually have a very specific team working on, and that's customer retention, so it's paying customers and retain them. But it's spread across different functions, but it's also product teams, so it's not just a function that sits in marketing.
Got it. So depending on your product cluster, if retention is relevant for you, your whole team could be thinking about that from product to marketing to data.
Totally, yeah.
That's really interesting because I feel like a lot of the challenges a traditional marketing team runs into is you don't have the supportive product or you don't have your BI team that's easily accessible. And so you wait on reporting or you make decisions without reporting. Do you feel like this structure has helped alleviate some of those challenges? Are there new challenges that you run into?
Yes and no. So some of the challenges, yes, because we're now working fully integrated teams. There's still some very marketing-specific challenges that don't go away. And and it's all about alignment.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that stands out to me is that these teams have a really diverse set of skills. And to your point, there's a certain versatility that can be required as there's new challenges for the business. Carolyn, maybe starting with you, how do you hire for your team? What are you looking for in candidates? And how do you find people that are really great at working on all these different types of problems with technical skills, with data-focused skills?
Yeah, actually two things come to mind, and I think we actually talked about this earlier. So we've been working with Braze for a couple of years now. So when I started back then and I was setting up campaigns in AppBoy, it was such an innovative thing to send a push notification, and I did not need much knowledge for that. What we have now, especially also in the CRM teams, in the CRM operational teams, we have people that have skill set there got up to being a developer, so to say. So while you need to bring in these days a certain skill set and you need to be very knowledgeable in what you do and you need to be capable of having this transformational impact on the business in order to ensure a positive success in the end, you also need to be able to be flexible and adapt very quickly. So when we look for candidates, it's not so much anymore the what you need to do. It's more this is our long-term goal as a business. This is where we want to go and sustainably grow. How can you help us achieve that? So how can you help solve the problems and think progressively? So you need to be very much collaborator. You need to communicate. Stakeholder management is so important these days. Basically, we're looking for candidates that can and want to fulfill multiple roles at the same time, which are less technology focused, but more business focused altogether.
It sounds like the functional expertise becomes a little bit less important and you focus on how do they work, what are those soft skills that can help them be successful?
Yeah, I mean, functional skills are still very important. But I think it's how can you apply them and how can you, while you're at the company, make use of other people's expertise as well. So it's also something that we do at Deliver Hero a lot, and especially in my team or the wider CRM team, to have a lot of training sessions and internal knowledge sessions with the various teams, whether it's within the CRM team or whether it's between CRM and marketing tech or whether it's between CRM and performance marketing. We make sure to share a lot of knowledge. Transparency is very important so that you don't work in silos and so that you don't have wasted resources doing the work all at the same time. But yeah, soft skills are very, very important, more so now than before, I would say.
Are there any specific tools you use for knowledge transparency and knowledge sharing that you'd recommend?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, the opinions split here internally, as you can imagine, on where to store documentation or share knowledge. Also very much, again, product versus marketing. But what we do in CRM very well, actually, is aside from the training sessions, we have internal global updates where we send the newsletters from Braze, obviously. That can be anything from global test updates. So as I said, we work globally across so many different regions and countries. Obviously, not what has worked in MENA will work in APAC or the other way around. So we foster that centrally and we send out these updates globally so that people are aware of learnings, failures, setbacks, how can it apply differently. We also do this Braze specifically, what are new features and tools that should be utilized that have worked or not worked at the different regions. And we also have general global updates, whether it's a new operating system coming out and what to pay attention to. So this has worked very well in the past years for us.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like no one's really cracked the code on a perfect knowledge sharing system. Credile, how about at Xing? How do you approach hiring?
Well, I totally agree with Carolyn. There is definitely a shift in focus. Yes, functional expertise is still important and we still hire for that. But then there is this whole element of soft skills that comes on top. To be successful in our organization, just like you said, is you need a lot of collaboration, stakeholder management skills, but also project management skills. You need to be able to deal with a lot of freedom. And the flip side of freedom is ownership. So if I take a look at the analysts we are hiring at the moment, so you're not only hiring them for their analytical skills, but also we require them to be able to communicate with their stakeholders, to collaborate in teams, to hold presentations, to be very proactive in their ideas. And that's one of the functions where I would say that's probably not in their nature. So there is a shift in requirements because if you want to be working on all those cross-functional teams, you need to be really part of it.
You said that the flip side of freedom is ownership. Are there tools or approaches that you take to help manage that accountability and help build alignment for goals or for things that the company's focused on?
Yeah, we definitely do. And that's where the buzzword OKR comes in. So we've introduced OKRs only at the beginning of this year. But it has really helped us align those 30, 40 product teams. And I have to tell you, it's hard work, but it really pays off. Before we are doing it on a quarterly basis. There's a lot of alignment work going into preparing those OKRs, but it really helps you to get focus in, to get full transparency. We also document all the OKRs in a central tool, so it is transparent for everyone. And so formulating OKR for the quarter is hard work, but what's even more important is to then monitor the progress on all levels of steering.
Any tips for anyone that might be thinking about adopting OKRs?
Just try it and learn. I mean, it's a huge learning journey still for us. We are not perfect. It takes us far too long to do OKRs. For a quarter, it's nearly a month that it takes us to do all the alignment. But we learn as we go along, and just give it a try. I think it's a great tool.
Quick poll: how many people are using OKRs in their teams? Okay, pretty good amount, maybe half and half. What about Delivery Hero?
Before the OKRs is after the OKRs. Yeah, that's seriously a mantra we go with. You are not even half quarter and you already have to think about the next quarter. And yeah, that's a pretty challenging task. But yeah, I also absolutely agree with what Cornelia said. Learnings perhaps from my experience would be, we have different, we also have a way to document the OKRs and organize them. But I feel there's still room for improvement with regards to what are actually clear goals and objectives for the OKRs, so to say. So that like every team, same with like documentation or strategies, every team has their best way of doing it. Same for OKRs. So I think it's essential to have, it's essential to have something where everyone can align on, and especially with like really big organizations like ours, I think that's really important to have the transparency top down, so to say.
Yeah, there's a whole art to writing a good OKR that I think takes a lot of practice. Yeah. Like to your point, there's no one formula for doing it, and then even within a company, it's going to constantly be evolving. So we have a couple minutes left. I want to leave some time for Q&A, but first, you've talked a lot about your teams, how you organize them, how you stay aligned. I'd love to hear an example of an accomplishment, a successful project, something your team's done that you're really proud or excited about, to kind of give everybody a sense of what does this look like in practice? What are the outputs of a team like yours actually look like?
I've got a couple, but I tried to make it short. So one example is that we're continuously and more so working on the conception and development of automations. So one way where this like cultivating a growth mindset for us helped is automating the creation of ad hoc email and push campaigns. So we're building our own tools in-house. And in the end, what it helps sustainably is to make every CRM manager more versatile and autonomous in the way they work, in order to then produce more innovations and focus more on where we actually want to be. Another example also with regards to cross-functional teams is that we also try to make sure to use tools of other teams and leverage what they have. So for example, performance marketing for Delivery Hero is using a tool where local entities are feeding in local restaurant data that we can then, through the help of marketing tech, leverage in our CRM campaigns via connected content in Braze. And that's been proven very successful.
And that's where the communication and alignment between teams comes in helpful, because otherwise you end up in that moment where like, I didn't even know they could do this.
Exactly.
And you find out a year in that some other team built some amazing tool that helps you move faster and helps you achieve one of your objectives.
Yeah.
How about you, Cornelia?
So I try to fit it into a minute. Well, one of my examples, and I'm taking a very concrete example to show you how those fully cross-functional teams work, is about a year ago we set up a fully cross-functional task force to really tackle the problem of engaging and activating our paying premium users more. And it was really a small task force of a couple of people from product, from UX, from analytics, from tech and marketing. And we gave them the task, really come up with rapid prototypes and tests in a couple of weeks to show us what we can do so we can learn fast, fail fast. And it was amazing to see on what we could achieve and what kind of role also people from like analytics and tech played in such a task force. Verifying hypotheses, quickly looking into our data, seeing potential for ideas. There's a lot of things we learned in that phase. And what I found great at the very end, if I took a look at the team, the leadership was rather with marketing and with product. But at the very end, presentations were also held by the tech lead and by the analyst, really pitching the ideas with a lot of passion. Those were rather marketing-oriented ideas. And I mean, it was great to see that all the different brains and all the different ideas put to work.
Yeah, it's great too when you see someone you didn't expect to be excited about a project, or you had to convince them to get them on board, get their buy-in. And then by the end, they're fully bought in and you're working in it's kind of the dream, right? Everyone's working in harmony towards the same goal. So we're just about out of time. I think maybe we could squeeze one question in, if there is one. Maybe? Oh, yeah, sure. Any advice for someone who wants to be part of a growth team or a CRM tech or marketing team?
Just go for it.
Apply on one of your websites, join Xing maybe.
Totally, go for it.
See, I got the plugs covered. All right, thank you so much, everybody. If you do have any other questions, I think we'll all be here for the afternoon. If you're interested in Braze, we have a booth. Please stop by, and thanks so much.